but when as you say that, then you mentioned Bryce the Olympics. So maybe share which is your favorite Olympic sport to watch. I thought about saying which one would you want to compete in if you could, but there's so many things going on with the competitions. I thought let's just pick our favorite sport to watch in the Olympics. And I don't care if you say all of them, but I will go first. My name is Robin Stewie, and I'm with Midwest Dairy. And my favorite sport, I thought about it because there's a few there, but I thought if I'm going to narrow it down to one, I really like the floor routine for gymnastics. I just love watching everybody flip and make all those different turns in the air and then land on their feet. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Michelle to introduce herself. I am also a co-chair of the Healthy Schools Committee. So it's kind of where you're going to hear me a little bit. And then Michelle, we can either pull people out, just kind of decide if people want to go to introduce themselves, because you're all set up probably different on my screen than you might be on your own screen. So
yeah,
welcome.
I'll introduce myself, but then Robin, you can probably just call on people, make it a little easier for everybody. So I'm Michelle Dake. I'm the Director of Youth Initiatives at KC Healthy Kids. And I'm one of the co-chairs for this group with the KCPA Plan. So I'm really excited to see you all here. And thank you for bearing with us if we are a little wonky today. It's because it's our first meeting without Emily, who has been our weighing in leader through this whole process and just was like a pro at virtual meetings. So my favorite sport, I think, to watch the Olympics is, well, one's not a sport, but I love the opening ceremonies so much. And I guess what I get most excited for. And then I love beach volleyball.
I know there's so many good ones, aren't there? It's like I'm glad they have them kind of recorded so I can go back and watch the ones that I'm not able to. Evelyn, I'm going to have you go next. And Evelyn's joining us. Probably, I don't think she's been with us before, but she is part of weighing in staff. So I'm going to let her go ahead and then we'll move on.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Evelyn, and I'm actually part of a different department at Children's Mercy. I work with health outcomes and research over there, but I'm just helping out with the waiting in team. I am basically just assisting with some of those tasks, that Emily had. So I think it's been kind of a rough transition, as I wasn't really sure, what platform you'll been using. So I was just talking to Shelly, about it, and we were like, okay, maybe we should just go ahead and use Teams. But it seems that it will need a little bit of coaches just to be perfect again. So just hang out with me, I'm learning, and I'll probably just be helping out with other items for this work group as well. So I'm so glad to be here. And just want to let you know that Bryce is probably going to stay throughout the meeting since I have to leave a little bit early.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for your help with getting this set up, and we'll get it all set up the way it works best on our end too. So thank you. Jill, I will have you go next. I'm just going to go like this across my screen. So.
Well, I don't know which Jill, so I guess
Jill
I will
Ladd.
go
Oh,
first.
sorry.
Okay.
Oh, Jill, right. I see you're down at the bottom of my screen. Jill, sorry.
So my name is Jill Ladd. I work with the Kansas State Department of Education with all of the child nutrition programs, and this is my first time joining this group today.
Thank you for being here with us. And
and my favorite Olympic sport, I forgot that one. I'm really excited that track and field's getting started.
Well, then we'll jump down, Jill, to the next our other Jill.
I'm Jill Rayford. I'm with Johnson County Department of Health and Environment, and I work on a lot of the physical activity nutrition programs, mainly Safe Routes to School in Johnson County elementary schools. I'm hoping that Katie Shoddy, she said she was going to be on, so I don't know if she's just run a couple minutes late, but she's recently been joining this group too. I work a lot with her. She is in charge of Johnson County Safe Kids Coalition, and we work a lot together in bringing programs to elementary schools. And I would have to say, regarding the Olympics, I've been kind of on the swimming. It's been really exciting. So that's been really fun to watch. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for being with us. We'll pop back up to you, Bryce.
Awesome. Good to see everyone. Thanks for letting me join you today. I'm kind of just gonna sit in and be a support person, but I also represent the sports sector in the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan. So I'll kind of be a fly on the wall, listening in and seeing if there's any cross-sector collaboration potential during this meeting. I think I'm with Jill. I've been watching the track and field. I used to run the steeplechase, so they just had the heats yesterday evening. And then the 10K happened this morning, and one of my buddies who I was on a team with got 5th. So I used to run for Stanford. He ended up having kind of a breakout race, so he got 5th. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Good for him. Fun to watch, I'm sure, for you too, knowing
Cool.
him too. Super. Okay, Christine Sharonberg, is that right? Did I say that right?
Yep. My name's Christine Sharonberg, and I am with Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools. And I just stepped into a new role for me, instructional coach for the PE teachers.
Welcome.
Happy to be here.
Have you? And then Lee.
Hi, I'm Lee Kurtek with Girls on the Run, and I'm the program director and work with schools and teachers to make our program come to life throughout the Kansas City Metro. I am not a swimmer, but for whatever reason, whenever I turn on the TV, the swimming is on. And when Lydia Jacoby won, the sweet girl from Alaska and her friends were there just going crazy. I loved that. And the gentleman, I can't think of his name, Dressler maybe, when he won and he was crying. I mean, the emotion just, I love it.
It's exciting. And Jody.
Hi, I'm Jody Lynn, the Fine Arts and PE Coordinator in Kansas City, Kansas. So I'm here with, I see Crystal Mason is on, and Christine Sharonberg. I think I can tell you what is not my favorite Olympic sport, and that is curling. But I really kind of like everything else.
It is funny to some of the different things too. And you're like, I wouldn't even know. Or watching fencing, I'm like, how do they even, the practicing that comes in with that? There's so much history and so many stories, right, of all the athletes and things too, which I find every 4 years or every 2, whichever you want to look at it, interesting too. So Jody, thank you for joining us too this morning. And I do see Crystal Mason. I see if you want to come off mute.
Hi, I'm Crystal Mason. I'm elementary PE in Kansas City, Kansas. And I love floor gymnastics. My daughter is 8, and she competes in the National Acrobats in Kansas. And so I started watching because of her, and now I just watch.
Natalie, I think. Okay.
Hi, I'm from Bike Walk KC. Carl is at a different meeting today, so I am here. I am brand new at Bike Walk KC. I'm the new Education Outreach Coordinator. For Olympics, I don't know. I really like the World Indigenous Peoples Games because they have one where you have to ride backwards on a horse and shoot a flaming arrow, and I think that's really cool.
And
so
hard, I
running,
think.
I'm not throwing shade on people who run. I'm just saying backwards on a horse for flaming arrow is really impressive. So.
Definitely. All right, Allison Smith.
Hi, sorry if you guys hear background noise. We've got 3 different camps going on with small children. So I have screaming children running by my office regularly. So I apologize in advance. I'm Allison Smith. I'm the wellness coordinator for the Johnson County Park and Recreation District. I do a whole bunch of community wellness and sit on multiple committees and work with other groups and companies and kid programs. And then my favorite Olympic sport is probably sand volleyball. But we got really into watching the handball games last night. Did anyone else see those? No, they were intense. I think that might be a sport that I might want to try and pick up. That looked like a lot of fun. So.
Thank you. And Mary, I think you're our last one that I have. I hope I haven't missed anybody.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mariana Hengler. I'm with the Jackson County Health Department. Kind of do a lot of different things here, but do lead our community health improvement, healthy eating, active living group. As far as Olympics, I mean, I've always loved watching gymnastics since I was a kid, so that's always fun. Watching the girl from Brazil, the skateboarder, I think she's 13, the fairy girl that, you know, she was the 9-year-old fairy star 5 or 6 years ago and kind of winning. I just think that's really amazing. So that's been a fun one. I like the human interest pieces probably more than anything. So that's where I excel. So yeah, thanks. Glad to be here.
Thank you all for joining us and sharing a little bit of what you find interesting. I know there's so many more pieces to the Olympics, and I think we're excited that we actually get to have them this year. And well, not here, but in Tokyo anyway, that we get to watch. And I'm excited for the athletes. But as we get ready to move on, I'm going to pass it over to Michelle to kind of talk more about our 3 strategies from the case, or review our 3 strategies from the KCPA plan, and then we'll move on from that after she's finished. So.
Thanks. I was like, my team's was, the button was being crazy. Welcome to our new folks. So with the KCPA plan, our sector has 3 big strategies. The first, working with schools to adopt the comprehensive school physical activity program model, which is a really large, comprehensive model, but really pulling out some of those best practices in that model around active transportation, activity breaks, and physical activity clubs before and after school. So those are kind of the big 3 that we've pulled out of that model. But really, the strategy is really getting schools to adopt the whole comprehensive model. Our second is working with partnerships to provide professional development for all education staff to be physical activity leaders within their school. And the last is advocacy around physical activity. So stakeholder education, and then in particular working on advocating for PE and recess in our region, and PE being part of a well-rounded education. And we have a few updates within those 3 strategies. The very first one is Dr. Robin Shook, who is director of Weighing In, is working on a proposal with a research team called, I'm gonna look up the name, Healthy Air, Healthy Schools, Healthy Kids. So they're going to be looking at active transportation and its effect on air quality around schools, and as a benefit for active transportation. So not only is it getting kids healthy, they're going to look to see if it actually improves the air quality for students in their neighborhoods. And Robin and I, as co-chairs of this group, we signed a letter of support. They're going for a grant funding for that project. So we want to give you an update on that. So on behalf of this group, we signed a letter of support because it does support our first strategy. I'm trying to think if we have any updates on professional development. I don't think so yet. Our last one around advocacy, we'll be talking today. That's one of our agenda items on if we want to do some collective advocacy. There was some discussion with mental health and the link to physical activity. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later today. If you haven't seen our strategies, I'm going to put a link here for you all to the playbook, and that's the really quick overview of the strategies and tactics for this group. And for our new folks who have joined us today, these strategies, we've started developing and working as a group on the KCPA plan was it March, Robin, of 2020? I think was or maybe February. And so it was a long process with a lot of stakeholder input to really identify those 3 big tactics. And we started with the national plan and then narrowed it down to what makes the most sense for the next kind of 3 to 5 years for Kansas City. All right. So next up, at our last meeting, which was actually during a breakout session at the weighing in quarterly meeting, there was some discussion on some next steps we can take as a group. And I want to kind of open it up to you all for discussion. The first is really how do we start reaching out to those school partners? Because we know the last school year has been incredibly challenging. So as a group, how do we think we want to best reach out to school partners to really gauge like where they're at, how these 3 strategies might align with what their current needs are, and really just start that discussion. So welcome to Christine and Jody and Crystal. Like, we love having some school faces again, because it was hard to have some participation, especially in the last 6 months. So we're so thrilled that you're here. So this is, for us, feels great that we're being able to share this message with you all. So if you don't mind, maybe we'll just open up the floor to you all and just really, we would love to listen to of just some priorities for KCK and where your needs are, and if you see any potential within these 3 big strategies for support from this group. I know that's kind of a big ask for your first meeting, but would love to pick your brain while we have you.
I'm quiet here reading through these strategies one more time.
Sure.
Well, I think for the CSPAP, I think it's just a matter of first just letting our teachers, I don't know that they all know what that is and what the choices are. I think Crystal and I went to a training and we did a project for a year and kind of experienced it. So just finding ways to integrate that into our professional development, maybe. I know Crystal shared yesterday that even things are changing with Shape America, even the verbiage around activity breaks, brain breaks, they're now called brain boosts. And Crystal, do you have the reason behind that?
When I was reading this weekend, because that's what I do on the weekends. So when I was reading this weekend, they were saying like that we want to start saying brain boosts instead of brain breaks to get rid of that negative connotation of the word break. And so we want to say brain boost. And so I was saying that I would like for our PE groups to have a full PD about Christine, I think Christine was there with me. We went through it used to be called a PALS training. I don't know. I might be aging us. I don't know what it's called now. But where we learned about brain breaks, brain boosts, and getting rid of the technology part of it, knocking technology out and like making them 3 to 5 minutes, something to boost the brain. And so I was talking about how I would like to do a PD with our teachers, giving them a big toolbox of different brain boosts that they could then go back to their schools and do their own PD with their teachers of brain boosts that their teachers could take to their classroom. And not to put something more on teachers' shoulders, because I know that they have a million things to do, but brain boosts shouldn't be big and they shouldn't be heavy. It shouldn't feel like it's adding a huge thing to the day. It should just flow with their day and be something to get their kids moving. You know, I think we've heard in meetings, like, you know, if your bum is numb, so is your brain. And so like we want to get our teachers thinking that way about their kids and like little small things. And so I would like to add that to our year this year. Like that's something I would like to add. And I thought maybe this group would be the place to get that rolling. I don't know.
No, I think that's fair. I know Weighing In on their Fitastic website had done a lot of collecting of those type of things early on when things shut down. And so I think myself and Robin and Bryce, that's something we can revisit and see what we already know. And then if anybody has really like a great quick list, feel free to either put it in the chat or just send it to me, and we can certainly capture that, because that is exactly the type of things we're hoping to do as a group, is like that collective knowledge so you don't have to go out and find it. It's like if everybody has already something in their back pocket.
Well, that's what I was saying to Christine yesterday, is like if we could get some type of Google Drive together, it could then be shared out to where it wasn't something that we were putting on teachers, and even not something we were putting on our PE teachers. If we could say, here's a drive that we're sharing with you, and now you could go share with your teachers, and we could share at a PD. If we shared 10 really quick with our PE teachers, and then they could go share 5 with their teachers and just get the interest, you know.
And Crystal, we probably both have the same document, like from that training, where we have probably a list of, I feel like we went through 10 or more. And I mean, there was stuff from using pennies, catching pennies, to tossing pencils. It was really fun. And it did not involve like Go Noodle.
Yeah, and I said yesterday, I'm not knocking Go Noodle. I think it's great for what it's for. But that's not what I'm trying. These kids have spent the last year and a half looking at technology, and I would like it to be non-technology based if possible.
I'm not sure if I'm going to take us over here or not, and if we need not be over there, just say, hey, get back on track. And so the thoughts, as I hear people talking, and I have to tell you, I'm a snot-nosed musician that happens to get the opportunity to work with the PE people. And what comes to my mind is, how do we make physical activity sustainable even at home? How do we partner then with the parent? How do we bring physical activity into the core classroom? Because our PE teachers already know the importance and do it. How do we then bring this to the core content teacher? You know, they ask us to teach math and reading and PE. Can we not move in that core classroom and really provide then for the core content teacher these little breaks or boosts, as you say? They're the ones that should be supporting this physical activity. And then the other thing that just weighs heavy on my mind is the obesity and how it's really prominent in communities of poverty. And we can offer physical activity at school, but if we're not getting support on the health side, will kids ever stand a fighting chance? So that's where my brain lives.
No, I think your brain is not far from where we are. And I was a former high school band director, so 2 snot-nosed musicians on the call here talking about physical activity. So it's wonderful to have you. I have a question with the health side. Are you thinking more like health providers or just like community supports, family supports?
I don't know. I don't know the answer. I just am aware of the problem. And I think all the time when our nutritional services department added fresh fruit to our lunch line, they weren't certain that kids would grab that fresh fruit. And I remember being in a meeting where they said kids were eating the fruit. And we had this discussion that that's something that mom might not be able to afford. Would you rather have this case of ramen noodles that can feed the family for a week, or this one apple? So they don't have access to proper food or health care. And it's a vicious cycle. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Are they not getting enough activity because of health and weight? Is their health and weight bad because they're not getting physical activity? Take your pick.
Well, here's one thing I do know, and normally Tennis is her name, and she is a physician at Children's Mercy West, and she's been really active in this group. And she's kind of been echoing the same thing of just kids and families are coming to the clinic there more overweight, less active, more stressed than they ever have. So I think you're right that it's a chicken and egg and all of the above for now, for what we're looking at as much as we can. Which is why I like when we have a lot of partners on this call who can hear those type of things. So I'm really hearing some next steps would possibly being set up like a shared Google Drive for adding these things. And then Crystal and Christine, do you see like your team then training those core teachers on the Brain Boost? Maybe with some support if we have some really great trainers on the call who have some. I saw some nodding heads, yes. But I think this could be something we could share in multiple districts if you guys are okay with sharing the resource.
I think that would be great.
And I just pulled up, there's a document that's 8 pages from the active schools on Brain Boost. So I was just trying to see if I could find a way to link it in the chat, but it's a Word document. So
feel free to shoot me an email.
I might, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then what we'll do post meeting is we'll share back out all the resources and notes from today to everybody. Bryce, a technical question. I know sometimes Children's Mercy and Google Drive don't play well together. So we can talk. I don't mind hosting it on KC Healthy Kids Drive and then sharing it out.
Yeah, so we were actually talking, I was talking through this with Matt yesterday. He leads obviously the PAPI cross-sector group, but yeah, we've worked through those struggles in the past, but I think it's going to be okay if you want to do it on your own account, or if you want to do it on KC Healthy Kids, or I could even do it personally. I think that should be just fine. So I use it for the sports sector as well. It's just the easiest way for people to access the document at the same time, and everybody collaborate at once. So feel free.
Yeah, I don't mind setting up and then trying to pull what we have, because I know there was a lot of energy around Brain Boost in the spring of last year, because that was like the one thing people who were teaching virtually for the first time, they're like, what are ones that, and these are all screen time ones. So this is a new ask a little bit. So I want to kind of pull through those and see where the ask before was, where are the screen time ones that I can easily share over Zoom with kids. And now we're trying to, which I think is very real, pull them away from the screen as much as possible.
And maybe we have if we're going to put it in a Google Drive where we can have like, this is this type and this is a folder for this type and a folder for that. That way it could be accessible for different, because we know there'll be some, well, I don't know everywhere, but there's still probably going to be some virtual schools options for some different districts. So maybe that's a way to connect if they need something too. But I like how Google Drive has you can put folders and put things together that way, if that makes sense. But definitely, I think there's a lot of great ones. And I know we have good PE teachers on here on the call today. And I know that we have access to a few other ones that might have some new or different ones that we can ask them to share with us as well. And start that. But I like the idea of Boost. I mean, break doesn't seem bad to me, because sometimes we need a break, but it's not, maybe I like the idea of, hey, let's get a boost. It's going to boost your brain too. So that can be a positive look on that. So thanks for updating us on that.
Is there anything else I'm from the KCK team here that's on your mind?
To go with what Jody was saying when I was reading in the Shape America book, one of the things that they were saying is there's a difference between the words physical education and physical activity. Mm-hmm. So when they're asking physical education teachers to implement math and reading and all of those things, they're not asking us to teach it, they're asking us to implement it. And so we're not asking them to teach physical education. We're asking them to implement physical activity. And so I think that when we ask them to do these things, we want to be clear. We're not asking you to teach. We're asking you to just help us and implement, just like you're asking us to help you. And we're willing to help you implement. You're not asking us to teach your curriculum. We're not asking you to teach our curriculum. We're just asking you to help us, you know? So there's a difference between physical education and physical activity.
Thanks. I think that's super powerful. And I know, so reaching out to other districts. So we've had Carrie King from KCPS has been pretty active on the call. But we're really focused, I think, now that we have our strategies in place and we have all these partners on the call of how do we meet more schools where they're at. And so we had thrown around some ideas of just reaching out in our personal networks and inviting our connections directly to the meeting here. And that seems to go pretty well. So I think that would always be like a standard, please ask your other school contacts and really tell them that we want to listen, I think is the biggest thing. So we're not necessarily asking them to come and like do the work, but we really want to hear like, from Crystal, like what would be so helpful, and what's something within these strategies that this group can really put some collective energy behind to help along the way. So we're really truly not asking our school partners to come and do work when they come to a meeting. The other thing, so I would just invite any of you all to reach out directly once we have our next meeting set, to invite those folks. And you can connect them directly to Robin or myself as well if they have questions and they want to talk before the meeting. I know we're both more than willing to do that. The other suggestion that came out was sending a survey out to our school partners. The weighing in the Healthy Schools list is pretty robust. It's pretty big, with some different educators from around the city. So I didn't know if we want to send a survey out to school partners, just to really kind of hear, again, digitally where they're at. Do they see in any alignment with these 3 strategies, with their priorities for the coming school year, and how we can help? And Jill, I know you had originally sent out one, like a sample one. I don't know if you wanted to share a little more about what you were thinking with that survey from the Johnson County Health Department.
Yeah, so the survey that we sent out was regarding just kind of like you're saying, we wanted to capture how last year went, what type of physical activity programs they were able to, to run during the school year with kids being half in and half out of in-person learning. And then we also reached out to them regarding, did they participate in walk to school day or bike to school day? If you didn't, why not? Because I kind of want to start to see some schools, they say, we're not, our area is not walkable, or, just so we wanted to kind of quit bothering some of these ones that don't want to hear from me anymore. But we did have, I think it was only 13 or 14. I sent it to every elementary school in Blue Valley. And it was at the end of the school year, so it might have been a hard time for principals. I sent it to principal, PE, and the nurse at the school. And also asked them, would they like someone from the health department to reach out to them? Do they want further information on creating a safe routes to school, or just involved in any more, physical activity programs? And like I said, I think I had 8 respond that said, yes, we want more information. And those were all new schools that I hadn't worked with before. So that was a great, but it's just frustrating that you feel like you send a survey to that many people and you get 14 responses, So it is what it is, but I think keeping the Survey Monkey very direct, not many questions, short answers, even having a couple multiple choice, you'll get more people to respond because they don't want to take time to do it, But I was happy with getting 8 new schools that I'll reach out to as school starts and see kind of where they're at and what we can do to work with them.
Thanks. I was curious how your survey went. I kind of want to
I think, I can't remember. Did I send it to you, Bryce? I sent it to, or did I send it? I know the last time we met, someone wanted a copy of it, and
You sent it to me in Jackson County.
oh, to Marianne. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might
Thank
have, if anyone wants that, I can send it again. We're happy to share it. Of course, you would just change it to fit your community or your school district, but we're happy to share that again if anyone wants that.
So kind of my question for the group, other than in the survey sharing really quickly the 3 strategies and asking schools, and these are all open-ended questions, which makes it so hard. So that's where I'm wondering with this group, do we think a survey would be a useful tool, or would it, like a phone call, one-on-one conversation, just using those personal relationships, be better? What do you all think?
Well, this is probably around the 3rd point about policy. I think it would be valuable to ask to include in a survey to schools to share about their physical education teacher might be able to get data on their recess policy. My experience from what I've seen where I'm at, when I first arrived, they were getting recess once a week. That's what the schedule was. And now they're allowed to do once a day. But if there's only PE twice a week for 30 minutes, and the goal is 150 minutes of movement, then recess in Shawnee Mission School District, it is twice a day and sometimes 3 times a day. And I can only speak for where I've been for the last 5 years. It's once a day, barely. So that might be information that would be useful in a survey.
Yeah.
Do you all know who the champion is at Shawnee Mission that has, I love hearing that they get a couple recesses a day. Is there somebody that we could get on the call to kind of share their experience and how they were able to be so successful?
I can reach out and at least find out who, like if there's a policy in place.
Yeah, I'm putting one other thing in the chat, and this research was done pre-pandemic, but it was another researcher at weighing in, and the team did a report card for physical activity on all these indicators. So policies around recess for our region, policies around PE, and did a scorecard. What I think might be useful for that advocacy piece, though, is really like, what does it look like now? Because everything shifted so hard in the last year. And I don't know if schedules are going back to previous, or if there's been some adaptations along the way with just like classrooms still trying to social distance, still trying not to like cross over as much as they used to. It may still be a big challenge to go back to where some of the schools were.
And just wondering timing of, kind of finding out information. Is it, and for those of you who are getting ready to go back to school and get started with students coming, and is it waiting till after Labor Day, waiting until maybe October when you kind of gotten in and are really, I don't know, timing wise. I just know kind of sometimes at the beginning of the year, it's really busy for aspects of pieces, and then still just with some of the unknowns still that might be coming down the pike. If there's other questions we might want to ask, that might come up in the next couple weeks as we learn more about, what cities are doing and what school districts might require as far as, masking and how that impact, if that makes any difference or not.
As far as collecting that information, I think for us, we could probably get you information in September or October. I know where principals' heads are right now, and we might be able to collect that for you through the PE teacher in one of our almost monthly meetings. That part of their exit ticket is to fill out this survey that you send. And then we could, when we have our elementary PE teachers together, you then instantly get 25 responses. because it's part of our exit ticket.
Sounds great. Then I think maybe just, is there anyone like off the top of your head who we should be inviting, like especially for our new folks who are here? Is there somebody you're thinking who isn't here today that would be great to be part of this discussion in the future? Either in your school or one of your partners, or on the either side of the state line. I know we have some county specific folks. I'm really just trying to identify those champions within each district.
Do you know who the other PE coordinators are in the neighbor schools? And have they been invited?
We know some of, I mean, we probably know who they were before, if that's changed this year for this next school year. And I would, Michelle, I think we've tried to invite, I think there's a large list of people that are invited. It's timing and of meetings and some of that too. So, but I think, maybe it's an effort of an outreach, or if one of you knows one of them personally and can say, hey, I participated in this, we'd value your feedback. If you can't attend a meeting, could you share some thoughts you might have, or else, if we share this too, but yeah. Because like Carrie King she's typically from KCMO on our calls and has participated regularly, and on and off with some of the other districts.
Mm-hmm.
I can connect with Turner. I had invited someone who's very passionate about these topics, and he must have not been able to make it, but also Shani. So I can reach out to those two, and someone in Olathe that just was in our district that's a pretty strong, would be able to get information that's involved in paper.
Yeah, and I do have some contacts in Olathe too, because my husband's a PE teacher in Olathe, so I can't.
I'm thinking of teachers and Christine and her work as an instructional coach. If the meeting is during the school day, then that's not good for Christine. She needs to be in classrooms, or that teacher is in a classroom. Is there ever any time to put that meeting more at the 3:30 time slot?
And we used to meet then in person, and we had some, I think attendance was about the same, and maybe that's something we need to consider is, do we do a virtual meeting at 3:30 where you're able to get on, there's not the travel, because we used to meet down at Children's Mercy, and we did go to KCK before and have been at some of the other districts, but I think you're right, Jody. I think it's tough, and then to get in a car at 3:30 and get somewhere at 4, and then you might have practice, or we have coaches, and that might, people who are coaching in the high schools or middle schools, and that might be difficult. So I don't know. I would like I know we're all probably at some point tired of virtual meetings, but as far as travel time, and when we have to get across the city, depending on where you're located, maybe we continue that, and we try that, and that might allow for more people to be able to hop on, even if for a shorter period, a little bit of time, and then still be done. I don't know. That's a thought.
I know for our instructional coach and for our teachers, I think if you cut that travel piece out, even for myself, easy to hop on. I can hop on here and then having it after the school day so they can do their day job.
Yeah. Well, and you think like a 3:30 time, or what is it? Is it closer to like 4? I'm sorry, Chris.
We have some elementaries that don't release until 4.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. So I don't release until 4, and then I also have after school duty. But if I knew in advance, I can always, get another great teacher, bribe them with coffee or something. But I do generally teach until 3:50. So I have kids with me until 3:50 every day.
Maybe considering, and Michelle, if we can even look ahead of time and have, we don't meet every month. We haven't met every month, right? I don't think we have. It's like, wait, I get, for a minute, but having that scheduled out every, having the first semester or something like this is when we're going to meet, then that kind of gives you a head of time. And even our community partners, some of you then go and do things after school too with students probably. So maybe being aware ahead of time, that would be helpful. I don't know, just thinking. And I think that's been something we've talked about a lot of times, that it is hard for teachers and school staff to get somewhere, more so than maybe some of us who are in a community position where we do get out and about a little bit more too. So.
Well, I think that's great. I'm going to move on, I think, to our next kind of agenda item, which is around advocacy. The last weighing in quarterly meeting, there was a presenter who was doing research on the benefits of physical activity and the connection to mental health, and in particular, physical activity outside. So that was shared through the Children's Mercy invite to this meeting. So if you want to go back and see that research, you can. But this one will be kind of a short, but maybe not. And it's one of those, again, please put it in the chat or email me. And Bryce, you can talk about this too, I think, because there was some interest from the sports sector on maybe doing some collective advocacy on linking physical activity and stress reduction and boosting mental health after the last year of, is there any way we can, as the KCPA, the core work group, which represents a lot of different sectors, can we do some collective stakeholder education around that? But really, for today, it would be if you guys have research or resources in your back pocket, or people you think maybe we should reach out to, that's kind of the ask right now. And really the first ask is this something we're even interested in pursuing? Do we think it's valuable? See some head nods, that's good. And if the answer is, I don't have that research, that's okay. That's something I think we're going to bring back to the core work group to talk more about.
I think it's a great idea. And as I'm thinking about this, I was supposed to look into finding someone from Johnson County Mental Health who may be interested in attending one of these meetings, and so if that's something we're still interested in, I can, or we may have all the resources we need. But I know we talked about that last time, and I apologize. I'm just remembering about that.
That's all right. I think if you just maybe can do a virtual introduction.
Okay.
To that person, that would be great, because they might be able to send some real quick information. I think what's powerful for this group is finding local resources. Because you can certainly Google and find lots of research, but if there's, I think, local representation in that research, I think it strengthens. And then I think the other question for the group is, like, how do you see maybe doing stakeholder education around this topic being effective? So how do we reach that target audience? Is it school administrators? Is it school boards we need to be talking to with this information? Who would you like to really hear that connection? Or is it parents? I don't know.
My thought, honestly, is it would be great to have something for a few different stakeholders, like for parents and for administrators, and maybe, a separate thing, if there's a different level of administrators or board of education, that would be good. And then on to the staff as well, teachers, staff, and maybe community. That might be a lot, but if we could pull out pieces, I think that all of them are really stakeholders.
I think that's fair, and that's where I think maybe finding those virtual introductions to people who work, like in the health department in mental health, like they see that overlap a lot. And like, I know from KC Healthy Kids, we have a psychologist on staff now who's doing trauma-informed care. So she would be a great resource, who's kind of in the health and wellness policy space. So she's physical activity adjacent enough to be able that it wouldn't be a stretch for them to talk that way. So it's really just finding those people, because I really don't think necessarily we are going to be like writing this, but it's how do we introduce those stakeholders to these experts for a conversation, kind of on our behalf. Mariana, is there anyone like that in the Jackson County Health Department that you can think of?
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking about that. Not formally at this point. I think as we're kind of restarting our CHIP work here in the next month, and I think there'll be opportunities to get in front of like our mental and behavioral health work group, and just kind of giving that well, while we don't have the expert on our staff from that, we do have different leaders and providers in Eastern Jackson County that would maybe be interested in kind of learning more and seeing kind of where they can be involved. So hopefully within by the end of this month, we'll have kind of reintroduced some of those meetings on our end, and can kind of figure out how to get this in front of more of Eastern Jackson County, because I think that's definitely, like I said, like it might not necessarily be us at the health department, but our partners out here that I think would be very much interested.
Thanks. I had forgotten you guys had that work group as part of your.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, it's been a while, so yeah. But we're bringing it back. So.
Bryce, can you share a little bit about where the sports sector was, what they were thinking around this topic at all, or if you guys have had any more conversations than ours, which is just like that very beginning one?
Kind of at a similar stage, kind of the beginning in that conversation. I know one of our sector leads has been talking to somebody from another sector, so it'd be kind of 3 sectors collaborating on that. Trying to find a good keynote speaker for our next weighing in meeting. And then I know more development's probably going to take place to our next core work group meeting in the next couple of weeks when we have that. So I think still at the beginning stages as well, but if you guys know of any good speakers that might make sense, we would definitely take those recommendations. So.
Then I think before we go to general updates from the group, maybe just some nuts and bolts questions. First, the next weighing in quarterly meeting is September 9th from 9 to 11. One question I know from Shelley at weighing in was if this group wanted to have a breakout session during that meeting, or if we just want to kind of plan our own next meeting at a time that's easier for all of us to participate. Last time they gave us like 30 minutes after the guest presenter to kind of touch base. I just know for me as a facilitator, that's going to be hard to do because I'm double booked that day. So I'll have to leave the meeting early, but I am never opposed to people still wanting to talk and meet if it's something you all want to do. It was September 9th, again, from 9 to 11, if you're looking at your calendar.
Michelle, I haven't been able to attend the last few of those quarterly meetings because we always have wellness group meetings the second Thursday of every month at 8:30. So, and I haven't been able to attend, so I apologize for that. Otherwise, I would be all about it. So, sorry.
No, it's okay. That's why I just want to float to the group, because if it's not workable with our calendars, then there's no reason to plan for a breakout. Really, the question is anybody dying to have a breakout during that time? Okay, I see a lot of shaking heads. Do we think it's just better to kind of set our next meeting then? Okay. Why don't we, Robin, what do you think? Like in our school folks too, like a late September meeting possibly? Would that be kind of a good fit on having at least your sea legs into the school year? Okay. I'll pull up a calendar.
Kind of looking at like the week of the 20th of September or the week of the 27th. Is that too late? Is that schools? I know before COVID, we'd been meeting, I think, on Wednesdays. Typically, I can't know. Maybe I thought it was Wednesdays, so it's been a while. But and if we look at like a later in the daytime, is there?
Yeah, I think for the school folks, the later in the month, the better.
Yeah.
Plus, every Wednesday, Kansas City, Kansas has professional learning the last 2 hours of the day.
Which makes it tough because
Right.
if our teachers are on till 4 by the time we, get them out the door, Wednesdays can be tough.
Yeah. So maybe would you think a Tuesday or a Thursday? I just thinking
that
as
would
far
probably
as would
be
be better.
better.
You think your staff would be
better. Because some teachers will be in professional learning till 4:30, and that
right.
is something.
Yeah, they're not going to want to get on their call for. So I don't know if you think. I know I'm not available on the 21st of September, but in the afternoon. But I don't have to be there either. So.
Yeah. What about the week of the 27th for everybody? Either the Tuesday the 28th or Thursday the 30th. I know the other big thing that's happening that week before is Kansas City is hosting the National Food Policy Conference. And just for me and the KC Healthy Kids team, we'll be very busy being kind of part of the host team for that.
The 23rd works for me.
I'm available that entire week.
Of the 27th? Crystal?
Yes.
I can do the 28th or 30th also, Michelle. So
I can do the 30th.
How about the 30th at 3:30? Or should we do 4?
I teach
Crystal
until
teaches.
3:50.
Sorry, I missed that.
I teach until 3:50, but I can either come on at 3:50 or I can get notes from Christine if everyone prefers to start at 3:30 and not run late. I don't want you to start late just for me.
Sure, I'm just thinking, I was like, I don't want teachers to not join because they're like, oh yeah, I can't start at 3:30. So why don't we plan for 4?
4 to 5, and we just
yeah, and we'll trim up our agenda. I know normally we set for like an hour and a half, but I'm okay with an hour instead.
Okay.
So we think the 30th at 4?
I think the timing of this meeting might work well for the topic that we were just talking about. We might get some further inspiration after the weighing in meeting. And then I can kind of stay in touch with you, Michelle, to see if there's any further cross-sector developments between the sports sector or anything else. And who knows, potentially in the 30th, we want to have a few sports sector representatives pop into that meeting for 15 minutes or 20 minutes to talk through some of that and the inspiration that we got from the speaker at the weighing in meeting, and see if that turns into any actionable items within schools. That'd be a good brainstorming session. So stay in touch. So 30th at 4. Cool.
30th at 4.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. I think our last thing is general updates from folks, any resource sharing that we would like to do with this group. And jump in.
I've got something. We are looking for a volunteer group to help man our water station at the Kids Triathlon. That will be on August 21st at Kill Creek Park in DeSoto. So I don't know if anyone has any groups. I know Girls on the Run, Lay, you guys have come out before for some of those races. But if anyone knows of a group that would like to help us man that, normally Shelly brings out her group to come with that, but since she's a smaller team these days, she's not able to. So if anyone else knows of anyone, let me know. I'll type my email in the chat box.
Thanks, Allison. Anybody else?
I wanted to share something for Katie. I guess she might have had some difficulties to get on this morning, but on August 7th at Deanna Rose, you all may have heard about it because I think Children's Mercy is one of the sponsors as well, but they're having a children's health, like a family health and safety day on August 7th at Deanna Rose from 10 to 2. And Johnson County Safe Kids Coalition will have bike helmets available for free if kids want to come. I'm not sure with our COVID restrictions now that things are getting bad again, as far as if we'll be actually able to fit the kids with the helmet, but we certainly will have helmets available. If you know someone or a family that is in need of a bike helmet, we will be there. It's going to be kind of at the pavilion in the back, but that's on August 7th.
Hey Jill, do you happen to have a link to that? Or is there anything posted on a Facebook page or website?
You know, I had just asked Katie for that actually last week, and she's working on getting that. But I will ask her again. I might even look and see if on the Deanna Rose website if they have something, but I will get something. If not from Katie, maybe look there and I'll get that sent out.
Any other updates? I'll do one for KC Healthy Kids. Our Champions for Health Challenge is going to come back this fall. So if you are working with elementary 3rd through 5th grade or middle school 6th through 8th, we have small grants for student-led wellness projects through the challenge. So it'll be open this fall. You submit through our website. There's 5 short questions asking the students about their project, and we award $100 to $2,500 for those wellness projects. Crystal won some a few years back. So yay, Crystal. So we had some other folks on the call previously in this work group win and do some cool things. So definitely check that out. And then I'm always here to help assist with those projects.
That's the photo project, right?
Yes. Yeah, it got a rebrand. So now we call it the challenge.
Okay.
I will add in, this is Lee from Girls on the Run. I'll add in that our season is kicking off September 13th. And so we're in the process of collecting site interest forms from schools that are interested. So all of you that are in schools, if you are interested, I'll put my email address in the chat box. We'd love to bring Girls on the Run to your schools.
And Lee, I'll say your school-based teams are certainly eligible to submit projects through the challenge. So we've had after-school groups that are school-based, like Girl Scout troops and other things, submit and do really well.
That's good to know. Okay.
That's something their team needs for those school-based teams.
Okay.
For sure.
Hey, Jill Radford, or Rayford, I can't say it right, sorry. Did you get that flyer about the Children's Health Day on Saturday, August 14th
August. Now, is this a different event than the one you're August 14th? I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, so Barbara Mitchell just sent it out this morning to the Community Health Network. So
Oh, okay.
I'll put it on to Michelle so she can send out to the group.
Okay.
They've got the English and Spanish flyers, but it's talking about like vaccinations and dental screenings, and yeah, a whole bunch of good stuff. So
Yeah, and I haven't seen all that yet, but we're just FYI, we're doing, as Allison mentioned, several like pop-up vaccine clinics in Johnson County. We're just trying to hit all those last people who haven't got the vaccine yet. So if you know of any events or having any events in Johnson County these next couple months, feel free to reach out to us because we can bring nurse and I'm helping as well with staffing those just to provide vaccines at whatever, event you have that you already have going on. We can come out to those. So that was good to bring that up, Allison.
yeah, and if you get more information on your stuff too, please go ahead and forward that on. I'd love to see that stuff.
Okay, we'll do.
Hearing no
Everyone's so excited, Michelle. They just can't.
I've gotten in the habit of really waiting because of digital meetings to make sure nobody's trying to talk.
That's smart.
But hearing no other updates, I think we'll see each other again on September 30th at 4 o'clock. We'll work with the weighing in team to get that invite out pretty early to give everybody a chance to invite any new partners to that. So I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate you working through the technology bugs with us for this one. And for our school folks, hoping for a healthy and low stress start to this school year.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a great weekend.